Welcome to Exposing the Hidden Reality. I'm Annette, career reinvention coach and caffeine-powered human.
And I'm Sandra, women's life and leadership coach. I bring the woo to our conversations.
And this is the podcast where we call out all the unspoken stuff, biases, outdated expectations, and all the things women navigate in work and in life.
Yes. We bring to light what we see happening. Smart, capable women stuck in the same patterns because no one really talks about what's going on.
We'll bring some difficult truths.
Welcome, insightful experts.
And sprinkle in a little chaos and fun.
It wouldn't be us if we didn't, right?
It's true.
So whether you're walking the dog or tuning in during your commute, we're glad you're here. Let's do this.
Let's do this. You want to do the let's do this together? Like 3, 2, 1, let's do this. All right, 3, 2, 1. Let's do this. Hi, Whitney. Good morning.
Good morning.
So nice to have you with us. If it's okay, we'd love for you to take a couple minutes and introduce yourself to our audience and tell us what you do.
I would love to. My name is Whitney Duenas Richardson. I am the founder of Global Sprouts. As a Chamorro and Dutch mom from the island of Guam, I moved to the mainland in 2013, had my daughter, and now I'm on a mission to turn the next generation into the most powerful, globally empathetic, and curious generation.
Yes.
I love to definitely not be assholes.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
Yes, that is amazing. And we talked a little bit about this before we hit the live button, but your website is so adorable. And there is this one young boy on your site that is so excited. So what does Global Sprouts do exactly? And why is he so excited?
Yeah, so he is so excited because he was opening up our Australia box with kangaroo puppets inside of it and clapsticks and boomerangs and everything that talks about the culture of Australia. And so in a Global Sprouts kit, we have an educational booklet, a story based on our figurine who's called Globy, traveling the world and hanging out with kids of every culture. We have activity guides for kids 2 and up. 2 through 8 would be, for this first round of boxes, would be the ideal demographic. We are launching some printable items for kids older than 8. But toys, crafts, games, experiences to really understand other cultures. And if anything, taking one little piece away. And I'll share a cute little story as my daughter is bilingual. And we started the concept with the country of Spain. And Slater would come into our room every day and say, "Hola, mama," and use her red silk scarf for the flamenco dance and like wave it all around. And I was like, this is exactly why I'm doing it, because I'm taking one piece of every other culture and making it our societal norm in our home. I'm from Guam and I'm Dutch. So she knows a little bit of Chamorro language, definitely knows Spanish. She knows some Dutch words and English. So seeing her thrive and understand that, and my husband's full American from Virginia Beach area. So seeing her eat cuisine that I grew up with. I love Spam. I know it's like absolute trash, but I love it. She doesn't mind it. She loves it. Like our McDonald's on Guam sold Spam, eggs, and rice for breakfast. Like we did have pancakes, but we didn't have like all of the other things, which actually I've been to 46 countries and my favorite thing to do when I travel is to try McDonald's everywhere else. I love it. I don't only eat McDonald's when I go to other countries, but I do like to see what's on their menu.
Yeah, that's got to be a fun activity, like to stop in and be like, okay, how does it vary? How is it the same? Yeah, it's a good touch point when you're visiting. So you got this idea when your daughter was little, or you got it when she was older, or you were already doing this as just like how you wanted to raise her to be culturally aware?
What a loaded question. Okay.
It's not just one question. It was like 7, I feel.
It's not. So I'm going to back up a little bit. My story starts. Ooh, how am I going to do this? Okay. My story started in 2016 when I got into a life-threatening car crash. And I was in the middle of Alabama. I went to one hospital. It was 5 days after my 18th birthday. I was driving back to college. So I graduated high school at 16, and I graduated college, boomer sooner, at 19. And I was driving back to school after my birthday. It was November 3rd. I had hit 50 feet of guardrail, hit an overpass, flipped my car a few times, went to a small hospital, and they said, here's a male police officer. You're going to a hotel until your parents can get here. 5 days after my 18th birthday. Truly wild. I don't remember anything. It's been almost 10 years now, and I'm slowly remembering some things. But what happened was, at some point of me being knocked unconscious and not remembering anything, I looked at the male police officer and I said, I need another opinion. My little friend's brother was intubated incorrectly. Do it for Drew. And he ended up passing away in an ambulance. And I told the cop that story, and the cop said, you're right, Whitney. You need to go to another hospital and get another opinion. So if it wasn't for him, obviously a great cop. If it was someone else, it could have been a totally different story. And he got me to University of Alabama, Birmingham, thank God, because I was there. And they immediately called my parents and said, she will die from internal bleeding if we don't operate on her immediately. So they saved my life. I was in a coma for a few days, got out of it, went back to college by Thanksgiving. And then I had a TBI. So I had all of the certain accommodations for that. Graduated college at 19 still, moved to Europe. Long story short, all of that to say, opened up my first business, which was a fitness studio in Virginia Beach. That area, Newport News, really, if I have any Virginia listeners. And that was my first experience. I learned a lot of things from that business. One being I loved building a community. That was my largest takeaway, was I thrived. I brought a totally new boutique fitness studio concept to the area, and I needed to because my health. I've had 2 actual full-time jobs. Other than that, I've just been beating to my own drum. And my one takeaway was I love the community from this. So fast forward, it was COVID. I sold it for 400% profit, all the equipment for that. Moved down to Florida and had my daughter. And my one thing was Chamorro is a dying language, unfortunately, and I'm trying to learn more and more of it and teach my daughter it. But Spanish is highly spoken in America. And if I want her to thrive, I want her to know another language. And that was one of my main points when I had her. I was like, look, my husband doesn't know Spanish. I know a lot of the vocabulary because I know Chamorro. And we use a lot of the same words. Not all of them, but quite a few. And I want her to know Spanish. And actually, probably 3 of my friends said, why would you ever teach your kids Spanish? They're never going to remember it. I have kids that come in my kindergarten classroom that don't even know English yet. And the more I thought, I was like, you guys realize I'm from Guam, right? Like, I'm not the American that's going to be like, okay, you're right, I'm not doing that. I was like, no, I'm definitely doing it now, especially that you're telling me not to. And hearing people say, no, you shouldn't teach your kid another language, that I would have considered like my close friends. I was like, there's definitely a stigma here of why are we learning about others when we can't learn about our own history, which our school system doesn't really teach authentic history anyway. So like, I don't know what we're really being built upon. But when I moved from Guam to the States in 2013, I became Whit from Guam within 30 days. So like all my social media handles, everything in my life, my personal branding, it's all Whit from Guam. Side note, if you want to find me, that's where you find me. Whit from Guam, everything. And I was like, wow, it's so crazy that Guam is this huge U.S. military island that no one really knows. Like if we went to war in Asia, like Guam would be our main hub. And so I said, that's crazy. Like no one knows who Chamorros are. Like we're this huge military place in the middle of the island. Like how do you not know what Guam is? We're a territory. So when coming back to my original story about Slater, I wanted her to know where she's from. I didn't want to have to move back to the island because it's so far away, and being an entrepreneur in a totally different time zone when I'm targeting Americans is not the most easy thing to do.
Right.
And I looked around and there weren't resources that talked about the people. Everything talks about geography. Go to France, you'll see Paris, you'll see the Eiffel Tower. And I'm like, no, what do Parisians do? Like, what do the French eat for breakfast? Like, what are they up to in their day-to-day lives? So that I can pick one thing, or my daughter can pick one thing from that she loves to do. Does she love to be outside all the time? And does she like to eat the beignets? Does she want to do the flamenco dance from Spain? And so as we created these boxes, it really stemmed from not having a resource to teach her about another culture that existed. Long story short, long story long, I guess I should say.
So Whitney, some things you don't know about me, and perhaps our viewers don't know about me. I was born in Uruguay in South America. So Spanish is my first language. I learned English as a second language when I moved to Canada. I'm currently living in the US. And when we moved to Canada, I was 5. My mother did not speak English until I was 9 or 10. So Spanish was the only language we spoke at home. Well, actually, that's not true. It was our primary language, but my mother did at some point force us to speak in English to her so that she could learn how to speak English. Travel is a passion for me. I've been to a lot of places. I'm still have a bucket list of places that I want to travel to. And it is such a passion for me that I have insisted on taking my children to travel. So my daughter and I went to Paris when she was 10, because she and I had this thing when she was little where we read Fancy Nancy. And Fancy Nancy's always talking in French. And so Abby was like insistent that she was going to live in Paris. So when she turned 10, she and I went on a mother's and daughter trip, just ourselves, for 10 days. We spent in Paris living like Parisians. We rented an apartment. We shopped locally. We did the touristy things. Of course we did, but she was 10. So it wasn't like she had a ton of stamina to like visit all of these places. So we did what Parisians do. We just hung out, right? And last year, my boys graduated from high school and I went on individual trips with them. My one son wanted to go to Venice. So I took him on an Italian extravaganza ending in Paris and Nice. And then my other son, who is fascinated with Japan since he was 1, and I went to Japan. Individually, my husband and I have traveled to a million places, not literally, it's my exaggeration. But the whole point of what I'm trying to say is that, one, knowing a second language is such an important thing. In Canada, we have French immersion schools, and I was disappointed that in the US, we don't have Spanish immersion classes. We don't even have French immersion classes. My niece and nephew are fluent. Well, actually, my niece, my nephew, both my nieces and my nephew are fluent French speakers because they went to French immersion schools. My other niece, my husband's niece, her mom is French speaking. So they only spoke French in the home. Mm-hmm. And they still primarily speak French at home. So she, at a young age, was completely bilingual because my husband's family does not speak French. And I was the anomaly in the whole thing because she'd come to grandma's house and know that she had to speak in English. And Papa or her dad said something to her in French, and I responded, and she looked at me like with these huge eyes, like, why is she speaking French in this house? She's supposed to speak only English. Kids know, they really do. And when they learn a language when they're so young, they retain it. My Spanish, I don't speak it every day. I rarely, but my comprehension is like, it's instinctive.
I love that your mom still taught you Spanish. What I'm finding right now is a lot of my colleagues and peers, their parents were first generation immigrants to the States. They were like, we're only going to speak English. So they never learned the language. And so now they're trying to learn it to teach their kids it. And I'm like, oh, like, it sucks that one generation, everyone was like, we have to be full Americans, when now we're like, no, we can be and speak our languages of where we're from. We can be proud of that, and proud that the generation before us immigrated here, or we immigrated here, but who we are is still important. And that is why America is America, because we allow all these different cultures to come together, and we should celebrate them and support them and speak all the languages. And
my mom speaks a really good Spanglish these days. So much so that she sometimes like just naturally switches between the two languages. And my husband, who's English, he knows a few very non-utilitarian phrases in Spanish. And because I'm like equal in both languages, I don't notice sometimes when my mother has flipped from one language to another until my husband looks at me like with this puzzled look, like, your mom's talking to me, but I have no idea what she just said to me. And that's when I realized, oh, wait a minute, right? Okay. But yes, it's I find that as I get older, I'm doing the same. It's whatever language the word comes faster in.
Yeah. And same with like my daughter's, I can see her thinking she knows her body parts in English, Spanish, and Chamorro. And today we played I Spy, and we did all the languages on the way to school. And it was so cool to see her like instantly change. Like, you could do Fafa is armpit and Chamorro, and we could do like that. And then I would say manos, and then hand, and then feet. And like, just seeing her like go back and forth, I'm like, this is mind blowing that she has that vocabulary already. And then Chamorro is, this is not culturally correct. So if any Chamorros are listening, I'm sorry. But in my head, it's the easiest way to describe it is a bunch of languages mixed together. It's an Austronesian language. But as we make these culture kits, which are so cool, is we offer these flashcards and words in Tagalog, which is Filipino, or the language of the Philippines. I can recognize the word because I know it in Chamorro. So it's like Tagalog mixed with Japanese, mixed with Spanish. And I'm like, oh, like if I hear someone speaking another language, it's easy for me to pinpoint where they're from. Having the background knowledge of how different languages came to existence and how they're kind of merged together, and when you're colonized. And now we have certain words in Spanish like pasta and Chamorro. So like figuring out all of those things, it's just like mind blowing how connecting it can be.
And to follow along with the connecting, I think that especially right now, it's so important for us to stop the othering process. And when we've been someplace where we know people from that place, when we have experienced the culture from that place, it's so much easier to connect and realize we're all human. We all want the same things. We all want and love our families. We all want and love our children and want them to do better than we did. And that every country has the same issues we have, right? As a Canadian, when I traveled to Australia, I was like, I feel more at home here than I feel sometimes in the US, just stepping off the airplane, because they have the same issues we have in Canada, right? People live around the edges, not in the middle, right? In Australia. In Canada, the majority of our population is within 100 miles of the US border, right? We don't have a big population up north. We have areas of the country that are so isolated, people have no access to services. Same in Australia. It's like I said, once I started traveling and I had that experience as an early in life as a child, you start to realize that a lot of places have the same issues. People want the same things. Learning a different culture can be fun. There might be some new foods that you enjoy. Yeah, good for you. I love this.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So tell us how you went from all of your experiences to like, this is the next thing I'm going to do. So after you sold your fitness studio, how did you come to this very specific idea?
Well, Hurricane Helene flooded our home 5 feet last September. We moved back in 2 weeks. I am so excited. It's been a whole year almost. It'll be 11 months by the time we get back in. And I'm a quick thinker. One of my favorite things about myself is I don't ponder on making a decision. My biggest pet peeve is when I go into the nail salon. This is a great example of how my brain thinks. I go in, I'm like, okay, I want a blue today. I just pick out a blue. The person in front of me holds the gel things for like 17 minutes. And I'm like, just pick a blue. If you don't like it, come back and fix it. Like, you don't have to ponder, just pick a blue. They're like a slight shade different. It doesn't matter if you don't like it, you can fix it. Like, you're going to be back in 2 weeks anyways. So like, come on, like make the decision. And that's how my brain thinks. It's the perfect analogy for how my brain thinks. And so it was Thanksgiving night, honestly. And I was sitting there and I was like, wow, someone it was 2 people by that point had just told me, why would I ever teach my daughters Spanish? And I tried to find a resource. I couldn't find it. I actually do subscribe to another company now that has bilingual resources called Hola Amigo. Love their kits. And at first I wanted to do something for bilingualism because they had been crap talking me teaching her Spanish. And then I was like, well, I'm from Guam in Holland, and how can I bring other cultures? Because if we understand that there's other people in the world and it's not just my way, our way, the American way, and there's so many different other ways to form our way, that could be a good source. So we had Thanksgiving dinner. It ended at like 8:30. I laid in bed researching until like 3 a.m. I was so fired up and so excited.
Yeah.
And then made our first box by December and then started selling them this past May. So I just moved fast. I had an idea that I loved, and I mean, I'm not going to know until it's in the market. So instead of sitting there wondering, oh, are people going to like this? I'm just like, yep, people are going to like it. People like me. I have a great story behind me. I've had my first business. I have my top 4 learnings from that business. One of them was my background's in digital marketing for the past 10 years. And I didn't want to do my own marketing. I wanted to form a community. I needed to have enough money to pay people to be on my team, because last time I'm a cliff jumper, and went to the studio, I literally jumped off the cliff and I had to call my dad and be like, I need some money because I bought this LLC and I signed a lease and no one will give me a loan because I'm 19 and just out of college.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not doing that this time. I'm going to have money to build a team. And I didn't want to pack boxes. I wanted to do the first 3 countries to touch and feel. And then once I had the MVP, like the actual product that we would bring to market, then I would have a fulfillment center. So those 4 things I like decided that from Thanksgiving to the end of December, and made the first 3 boxes myself. And actually this month they're going up to the fulfillment center for fulfilling them. So yeah, that's kind of how it came to fruition. I personally loved the idea, and I have a compelling story and shared my story, and one person at a time. That's all I can hope for. One child.
I love that. No, I love that. So products. We don't often talk to other product business owners. Sandra and I know a lot of service providers. We're service providers. So how it to me, it's overwhelming. It seems like it would have a lot of challenges. What are some of those challenges and how do you deal with it?
From someone that the first business was a service, definitely a learning curve. Having to talk to other countries and cultures. So what we did is I built a team now of 12 cultural ambassadors. and we pay them. One of my main things was I'm paying fair living wages no matter where you're living. I'm making sure that I'm being culturally appreciative and not appropriating. A great example there, our Philippines cultural ambassador, it was either Ryo or River. I was like, oh, we're going to do jackstones, which are like the little 5 jacks, and then you roll them towards a ball. And they were like, no, Whitney, you're not going to put that in the Philippines box because that's an American game that came to the Philippines. You're going to add in the Lado Lado in a Tampipi box. And I was like, thank you. Because if you do research, and I've been in the Philippines multiple times, you see the games being played. You're not like, even when I did the research, it never said, oh, that was an American game. So talking to the people of that culture was very important to me. Hiring them onto my team was very important to me, giving them products and items back. So having a physical product in your hand, especially in the world of AI now, and teaching parents that it's up to us to teach them how to do better and be better with the information that AI gives them. And the way to do that is problem solving and critical thinking skills. So we do that with a physical product at such a young age. And the learning curves really has been sourcing items from the countries can be very challenging, which is why we have a higher price point. Ideally, I started the company with a goal of in 10 years to be acquired by someone that can get cheaper prices for the items to get the whole entire kit cheaper for more Americans to have access to the resources. As a small business, you don't have the access to do that necessarily.
Sure.
So we built the company we built the company for an acquisition in 10 years.
Yeah.
And really having the resources and understanding. And because I have been a world traveler and I've made connections, I travel to the big cities. I don't stay there. I go to the outskirts. I travel to get away from America. So like, I don't want to travel to be around 1,700 other Americans. I want to be around the people of that country. So we go to the outskirts, and I've met at least one person I still keep in touch with from every country I've traveled to. So using my connections to understand cultures better and putting me in contact with others that help with supply chain there, sourcing products, getting them all together, figuring out how to kit them. It would be so easy. I use the word easy lightly because it wouldn't be easy to just anyone to do. But now that I have experience from the last couple of months of sourcing it would be great to find one manufacturer that could manufacture everything and put it in a box for you. It's just a little bit more challenging when you're finding culturally specific items and toys and things to put into a box. And you're sourcing it from that country as much as we can. So yeah, products it's challenging in the sense of sourcing them, but that's the fun part, I think, to me. I love talking to people from all over the world to figure out how many can we buy in bulk? Is this something that we can buy in bulk? Who's making the items? What's the story behind it? Who are we giving our money to, and who are we supporting?
I love that. I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about what your experience has been as a woman as you travel to these locations who may have, I guess, different approaches to being a woman in business. What are you noticing in terms of either biases or acceptances that you may or may not have anticipated?
Yeah. I'm very fortunate in that I haven't experienced any biases. Very fortunate. I'm very glad I don't have to talk about that right now.
Perfect.
I know it will come. I think men are a little bit more, I've had more biases in the States than traveling other places, which I think is important to talk about. I walk into a room with confidence and my head held high, and I think that can be intimidating to some people that might have created biases. But I'm also very engaging and outgoing, and I genuinely care about the people, and I think that makes a huge difference. So when you walk into the room and you're not standing up tall and you're not being confident and you're not caring about the person on the other side. I've been in rooms where the other person on the other side didn't really care about your story and they just wanted to make this sell. And I've been able to flip them halfway through the conversation of actually caring about what they're selling. And I think that's the important part, because too many times recently it's happened way too many times where I've talked to someone, I just want a relationship. I don't want to sell you anything. I don't want to buy anything from you. I just want us to be friends and be on the same page. And have that community vibe. And I think that's where the whole bias and acceptance comes into play, because I've trained myself to try to flip the script when I'm in the place and I'm like, okay, maybe a bias is going to come. Let's flip it to be personal. Like you said earlier, I thought that was really beautiful of, we're all doing the same thing. We all have the same problems. We all want to make money and do it in find our goals, achieve our goals. And what does that look like together? So, I've been very fortunate in that aspect, traveling specifically, of meeting others. And then honestly, having a cultural ambassador in every country that we're doing has been so helpful, because I automatically feel safe going to another place, because now I have a local connection that knows who I already am.
One of the things that I think as women we do really well is we build connection, right? Yeah. And I think that can be a real asset in business. We care about others, right? We want to do right by others. We want to build connection, and we want to know why. And I think that viewpoint can sometimes be misconstrued as you're not tough enough, but honestly, I think there's a lot of toughness and courage that's needed to have that kind of approach. One of the organizations that I love so much, and maybe you're familiar with them, is Kiva, Kiva. They offer microloans to women all over the world who are trying to start small businesses. And I just think it's so wonderful when women support women.
Yeah. I will actually talk about a bias that I haven't talked about actually ever, I don't think, on a podcast yet. And that is being a woman at 19 that is beautiful inside and out and has been successful. I lied about my age to everyone. I mean, I was also in college with 1,700 fake IDs. So I always was older. And
I don't know anything about that right now as a mom with 2 boys in college. Sorry, I digress.
And so I would walk into a room and I was always the youngest until I think I turned 23, which I'm 26 now. I'll be 27 in a couple months. Did I actually tell people my real age, especially when I was in a room of older adults asking me business questions, because you immediately get turned down, or they assume, oh, you're pretty, you've gotten by on good looks, you don't have the strength to do this, you don't understand how to do it, you're only doing it because someone else has given you this opportunity, which is absolutely not true. I've worked my ass off to get to where I am. And so I think the bias of age discrimination, which is so true, and even the beautiful discrimination behind it, instead of saying, wow, like, you're a beautiful human being, you've worked so hard, it's always like, oh, you're beautiful, of course you got it done. Like, of course somewhere down the line said, oh, she's pretty, I'm just going to give it to her. And like, that's not genuinely the case. Right. So I think that bias can be very tough for women that are working to do something and make a difference. And I do think too, because I'm talking about cultures, sometimes I 1000% I use the prettiness to my advantage. I think it should be used to your advantage to sell people on, you should talk to your kids about other cultures. I'm from another culture, you should do it. And then you also have, from the service industry, from the studio, that is a totally different fitness versus teaching something and educating and making a whole generational change is very challenging.
Sure.
So yes, hop on my bike, hop into my hot infrared bar, mat Pilates class. If you like to do it, cool. Teach your kid to not be an asshole and to understand others when you didn't have the resources when you were growing up. That is a much more challenging discussion to have with people. I think the bias starts there of, where did I come from? Does she know what she's talking about? And teaching people that I'm not just AIing or ChatGPTing or looking up Filipino culture and putting it into a box, but I have 2 Filipinas that work for me, and I have Spanish women that help me, and I have women from Cyprus, and Lesotho is a small kingdom in the middle of South Africa, and they're called Sesothians, and I have a Sesothian that works for us to teach about her culture. And the way that our group chat in the morning goes off with like videos of kids playing on playgrounds and different types of playgrounds, and like they're happy and they don't have the materialistic things that we grew up with. Like that is like, that's the reason we're doing this, is we're creating authentic resources, not just another American woman that's sitting down and trying to teach about other cultures. I'm teaching about other cultures because I'm using my platform to do that with the people of the culture. That's what we're here to do. And that's the change.
I do. I love it too. And I feel like you've busted down biases, maybe without even thinking about it, but automatically adjusting yourself to address, even though you weren't sure it was going to come up, age or something like that. And then I think the other perspective is, all these unconscious biases exist about teaching your kids about different cultures, or an unwillingness to learn about something else, or how that doesn't diminish who we are, who I am, who you are, but it just makes us more worldly, more interested in other people, how it opens you up to learn about people at an individual level. And then ultimately, once you do that, I think that's when you start to really build community, which sounds like exactly what you're going to do. So share just a little bit more about the box, how it works, and then how people can get in touch with you.
Before we
go ahead.
Can you just add? I think that what you are teaching your daughter is beautiful, because you're not just teaching her about another culture. You're teaching her how to advocate for herself. You're teaching her how to lead, and how to lead with fairness, and how to lead with self-compassion as well as compassion for others. And that, my dear, is such a powerful lesson that you are offering her.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And now all these other kids too.
Yes.
Get to have all these other families that get to have a piece of this in their home as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's really beautiful to see. It's very powerful. It's exciting. It's something that's needed. Every time we talk to another mom or dad, they're like, oh my gosh, I wish I had this when my kids were younger, or now I can buy this for my niece and nephews, and we're going on a trip. Let's learn about it beforehand. So
yes.
The best way, and what we focus on in our boxes, is project-based learning. And as project-based learning, there's 4 steps. You're inquisitive, you're wondering about something, you're researching, you're asking questions, you're creating it, and then you're reflecting on it. And that's what our box focuses on. So we include 2 to 3 toys or cultural significant items. We include an educational booklet with activities with drawing, tracing, math, colors. We include the country's flag. We include a story about Globey going on travels around the world. Hopefully we'll add in some figurines so that kids have little play pieces of the characters and the kids of that culture. And what else do we have? I think that's it. So it is a lot. It's a lot packed into a 12 by 9 by 3 box. It's so much fun, and we love it. And every box comes with lesson plans if you're teaching your kids at home for homeschoolers. It comes with digital resources, videos, talking more about each of the items and how you can play with them, what it looks like to be played with. And we're really on a mission to help teach the next generation to be better and more globally curious. So you can find a box at globalsprouts.com. We're on social media as Global Sprouts. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. Instagram is Global Sprouts Box. But other than that, Global Sprouts everywhere else. And I'd love to have community conversations. And one last thing, it's so important if you are a traveling family, the way to really stay in kids' minds from the ages of 2 through 6 specifically is to learn, like the project-based learning I mentioned earlier, learn about that country, visit it in person to have more hands-on experience, and then come back and learn more about the country and reflect on your travels. So ideally, the Global Sprouts kit, you would buy it before you go to the country, and then you would have toys and things that you've witnessed in real life. And that's how kids really ingrain themselves on that hands-on experience and the immersion.
Whitney, what can our listeners or Annette and I do to help spread the word, to help connect you with resources that would be really helpful for you? What are you looking for as a business leader?
I just ask every person I talk to mention it to 3 other people. If you make 3 connections to Global Sprouts, what everyone knows a kid 2 through 8, 2 and up. And then now eventually we won't even have to say 2 through 8 because we have resources online for older kids. If you tell 3 people, you know someone with a kid. Everyone knows someone with a kid. So being able to share that with 3 people, I think is the most important thing. And if you're from another culture and you want to see something in a box in the future, I'm all ears. I love product exploration and development and feedback. So I thrive on feedback.
Amazing.
So good.
Whitney, we're so happy that you took the time to come talk with us today. And in the description box of this episode, you'll see all of Whitney's links and more information about her business so you can connect with her.
Thanks, ladies.
Thank
you.
you.
Such a pleasure.
Definitely. That's a wrap on this episode of Exposing the Hidden Reality. If something hit home or made you snort laugh, tell us.
Seriously, we love hearing from you. Message us, tag us, or send us coffee. We love coffee.
And hey, leave a review. It helps more women find us and boosts our egos.
Which are like fragile, like suspiciously fragile.
True. All right, until next time, keep questioning, keep growing, and if all else fails,
Bring the dog.
See you next time. Wait, did we stop recording?
No, we're still here. You have to push the red button.
Red button. Cool. Just eternal podcast.
Bye.
Bye.